أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا والشفيع ذنوبنا صاحب الوقار والسكينة المدفون بأرض المدينة أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين آمين يا رب العالمين. فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم حسين مني وأنا من الحسين علمي علمه وعلمه وعلمي صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our a'za, our tears for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. May He accept our attendance on the majlis or in the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. And may these nights, inshallah, benefit us in our qabr, in barzakh, fil akhirah, wa fil qiyamah, inshallah. Tonight, I want to address the issue which is raised every year in the month of Muharram, especially when the masses of the Muslims see the mourning that takes place for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam by the Shia community, which is what? That it is the Shia that betrayed him by calling him to Kufa. It is the Shia that killed him, and now it is the Shia that mourn that which they did. So this is a sort of a false negative propaganda that exists against the Shia community and has existed throughout the centuries and probably will continue to exist until the zuhur of the Qa'im. Ajjal Allahu Ta'ala farajahu sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa But before that, I would like to begin by addressing the issue that the Hadi, whoever that is, be it a Nabi or an Imam, amongst the things which are wajib on the Hadi, the guide in regards to guiding his nation, is that he must guide them of what is to come. Not only the halal and the haram, but that which is to come, the Hadi must give it to them. The Nabi, the Rasul, or the Imam. For example, we know from narrations that it was known, it was well established that Imam Hussein alayhi salam would be martyred in the land of Karbala. It is something that was known by the people of Medina at the time of the birth of Imam Hussein in Medina. It was something that it wasn't hidden. To the extent that some of the books say when Umar ibn Sa'd would walk into a mosque, the Shia of Ali would look at him and say, look, here goes the killer of Hussein. They would look at him and they would say, here goes the killer of Hussein ibn Ali. And he would take offense. And he would come to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and would say, Ya Aba Abdullah, there are people who fabricate lies against me. What do they say? They say that I will kill you, that I'm your killer. These people are ignorant, they're liars. The Imam replies to him simply by the words, they're not liars, nor are they ignorant. So it was established, it was known. Even who would kill Imam Hussein, even that much was given to the Ummah by the Prophet and the Imams themselves. And the narration, which I just recited in the beginning of the khutbah, a companion comes to Imam al-Hussein. The Imam says to him, let me give you the news of the future, what is to come. He says, what is to come? He says, Bani Umayyah will surround me and they will kill me in Nainawa. This man is shocked. He comes to the Prophet. He says, Ya Rasulullah, is that something you told Imam Hussein? Or is it something Hussein knows of himself? Now listen to the jawab of Rasulullah. He says, Hussein is not dependent on my ilm. For ilmi ilmuhu wa ilmuhu ilmi. For my knowledge is his knowledge and his knowledge is my knowledge. Imam Hussein does not wait to hear it from me so that he could narrate it to the people. So the Shuhada himself has a direct connection with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He says his knowledge is my knowledge and my knowledge is his knowledge. Now you know what he says, what he means when he says Husaynun minni wa ana min al-Husayn. Hussein is from me and I am from him. He says no, it's not something I have told him. Imam Hussein knows of his own accord. Him by himself has a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the reality of the Hadi, that he must give you the news of that which is to come. For example, certain prophecies or certain predictions of the future that we have in the Holy Quran. Surah Al-Rum, when Rome was defeated by the Persians, the Muslims became upset. Why? Because Rome in its religion was closer to Islam than the Persians. And yet Allah in Surah Al-Rum says, very soon Rome will overpower Persia. And within a few years that happened. And so there are certain such predictions in the Holy Quran. They used to say to the Prophet, your children are dead. Your message will die, will not survive. Allah says, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. There will be someone from the progeny of Muhammad in all nations around the world. At that time there was a prediction made before the birth of Lady Fatima. And so there are many such narrations. Now, the question being, the Hadi must tell, he must prepare the Ummah. Look, Karbala is to happen. Imam Hussein will be surrounded. Imam Hussein will be taken to Karbala. The Messenger of Allah says this. Amirul Mu'mineen, when he passes by Karbala after return from Siffin, he says this. Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam says, La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein himself says, I'll be surrounded and killed. Now the question is, what is it that the Imam knows and how is it that the Imam knows? Let me give you some narrations from the book Al-Kafi. Someone came to the Holy Imam, Aba Abdullah as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, what is the sign of an Imam? If someone comes out and claims to be an Imam, how do we know whether he really is an Imam or not? Look at the signs that the Holy Imam gives in Al-Kafi. It says, number one, the first sign of an Imam is that the Imam before him appoints him in front of the people. Ali ibn Abi Talib after him will say, Hassan is the Imam. Hassan, he will say, Hussein is the Imam. Hussein will say, Sajjad is the Imam. So the Imam before will announce the Imam to come. Number two, the Imam says whenever he's asked a question, he replies instantly. There is no gap in the knowledge of the Imam. You know, sometimes you have to think, ponder, let me think about it, let me get back. No. There is no let me get back to you when it comes to the Ma'soom Imam. And hence when we say Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq was an Imam, we don't mean him to be an Imam like Imam Abu Hanifa or Imam Malik. For they would say, let me refer to Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq. But Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq would never say, let me refer to Abu Hanifa. He would never say that. So hence, the word Imam, though used interchangeably between both schools of sects, between Fariqain, yet when we say Imam, we mean the knowledge is directly from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He says the first is the Imam. If the Imam is asked a question, his jawab is instantly. And that reminds me, once Amirul Mu'mineen was questioned by the second caliph. It says, Yabna Abi Talib, O son of Abu Talib, what is the reason that every time you're asked a question, you never think, you don't ponder, you don't pause, you don't revise, Whenever you're asked a question, your answer is ready. You know what Amirul Mu'mineen says? He sticks his hand out. He says, how many fingers? He says, 5. He says, you didn't think. You didn't ponder. He said, what's there to think? Your hand, your fingers are in front of my eyes. He says, this is the point. Like the fingers are in front of your eyes, this whole kainat is in front of my eyes. Ay Daddy, Ya Ali. Ya Ali. Salamat. Now you know why we say he is the Imamul Kainat. Whatever there is in the Kainat, in the Kaun, whatever there is in existence, Ali ibn Abi Talib is in front of the eyes of Amirul Mu'mineen. Nothing is hidden from the Imam. And so if he says, I will be surrounded and killed in Karbala, remember that's nothing shocking. Imam Hussein alayhi salam knows the secrets of the heavens. This is something very small. The companion was surprised. Ya Rasulullah, how does Hussein know this? He's young. How does Hussein ibn Ali know this? Did you tell him? He says, no. Hussein knows himself. He knows. Because if he had said, I had told him, they would have said, okay, he depends on the Prophet. And if he had depended on the Prophet, then what about when the Prophet dies? Then what happens with the Imams after? He says, no. He has a direct link, rabita, with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. It does not need the Prophet to be there. Whether the Prophet is there or not, the door of revelation is closed. Because there was all the Shia said the Jibreel descended on the Imams. The door of Wahi is closed. But the door for the angels are still open. Yeah, Wahi, which is specific to Nabuwa, that's closed. He says the first, when the Imam is asked a question, he answers it straight away. The second, look at this. It says if a questioner comes to the Holy Imam and he does not ask the question, he's silent, the Imam tells him what he intends on asking him. In other words, the Imam knows the question and the answer. Imagine that. He knows the question. He tells him, this is your question and this is your answer. And then he says, listen, there is no language that is hidden from the Imam. Al-Kafi, Usulul Kafi, our major book, the first of the 4 major canonical works of the Shia. He says, listen, there is not a language that the Imam doesn't know. The language of the jinn, the ins, the haywan, the insan, whatever. The language of the tayr, the tuyur, the birds. For if Suleiman can do it, then why can Ali ibn Abi Talib not do it? And as you know, Suleiman used to speak with the hudhud, the bird. You remember the story of the hudhud in the Holy Quran? He would speak with the hudhud, would come and sit by him. And what does hudhud say? That I came from Saba bin Naba. I have brought you the news of the Queen of Sheba in Yemen. So he spoke with the birds. The Imam says the Imam can even speak with, one of the signs is that he can even speak with the birds. And he knows every language. Now it seems that this Rawi was shocked. He says, you're shocked? He says, wait here, let me give you an example right now. He says, a small amount of time had passed that there was a knock on the door. The Imam said, who is it? It was a man who entered from Khurasan. And now from Khurasan he would speak what? Farsi. He would speak Farsi, it's Khurasani. He knocks on the door and says, Salamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. The Imam says, Wa alaykum as-salam. Now this Khurasani, he speaks to the Imam in Arabic. But the hadith says the Imam replies to him in Farsi. Now he's shocked. He says, Mawla, I spoke with you in Arabic to make it easy for you. I did not know you had learned Farsi. You know what the Imam says? He says, listen, if we have to learn something before speaking with you, then what's the difference between you and I? If we have to learn, like you have to learn, then what is the difference? Then what is the difference? And hence, we don't make anyone the Khalifa of Allah, the Caliph of God. It's got to be someone who has got to be given these divine wisdoms, divine pearls of wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, look, this is an example that we speak each, and we have many narrations of the Imams who would speak in different languages with different people. And so, they say, another person came to the Imam, he says, look, if the Imam is sitting at home, Does he know what's happening in his house, behind closed doors? Listen to this. If the Imam is in his house, in his room, in the comfort of his home with the doors closed, does he know what's happening in the city of Baghdad? The Imam says yes. And beyond Baghdad, he says yes. In fact, whatever is under the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in front of the eyes of the Hujjah of Allah. Now you know why we say Amirul Mu'mineen huwa Imamul Mashariki wal Magharib. He is the Imam of the East and the West. That at one time, for us, you have East, you have West. You're in one place, and if you're in one place, you don't know what's happening in the other place. When you're in the other place, you don't know what's happening back there. You're at home, you don't know what's happening outside. You're outside, you don't know what's happening at home. Ali is at home, and yet he knows what's happening in Masharik and Magharib. Nothing is hidden. So when Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, come, and he comes out and he says to the Sahaba, to the companions, I'll be killed in Karbala. I'll be surrounded. And there'll be no one there to save me. They are shocked. The companion says, I'm sitting with the Prophet. Imam Hussein is young. He comes running in and he embraces his grandfather, Rasulullah. And the Prophet addresses him how? Marhaban bika, ya Zayn as-samawati wal ard. Welcome to the beauty of the heavens and the earth. The companion again is shocked. He says, Rasulullah, I thought you are the beauty of the heavens and the earth. And now you address the same title to Hussein? He says, you don't know what I know. You don't know what I saw when I went to Mi'raj. And you know Hadith Mi'raj. When the Prophet passed through the 7 heavens and he went to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the arsh of Allah. He says, I looked towards the right. The highest position, the highest maqam by the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was decorated by the name of Hussein. Inna al-Husayna misbah al-huda was-safinat al-najah. Imagine the highest position of the throne of Allah where the Prophet comes to a stop, comes to a halt. He says, there I saw that Allah decorated his arsh with the name of Allah. So don't be surprised when we decorate the farsh with the name of Hussein. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ajil farsh. He decorates his arsh with the name of Sayyidul Shuhada. We decorate the farsh azah with the name of Sayyidul Shuhada. Alayhi salatu wassalam. And so, Ya Zayn as-samawati wal ard, welcome, oh, the beauty of the heavens and the earth. Rasulullah, are you not? No, Hussein is. It's ajib, really, what the rank of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is in the sight of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, that anything could have been there. He could have put the name of Adam, the first prophet he sent. He could have put the name of Ibrahim, his Khalil. But he chooses to put the name of Hussein. You remember why? I connect with yesterday. Because everything depended on Hussein and Ashura. If you were here last night. Because Adam to Khatam, everything depended on Sayyidul Shuhada alayhi salam. Now, the people were prepared over time. There will come a time, Karbala will happen, Imam Hussein knew that as a child. The Prophet says to Salma, you live, I won't be around. You will live, you will see the day of Ashura, you'll be in Medina. And he gives her the sand of Karbala. And he says, when it turns red, so the Shuhada has been martyred in the plains of Karbala. He tells the companions. Now my question is, if Kufa deserted Imam Hussein, and I'll get to that in a minute, Kufa. If the Kufis betrayed Imam Hussein, if they wrote letters, which they did, then my question is, who would be more aware of the shahadat, the martyrdom of Hussein, the Kufis or the Madanis? Ask yourself the question. Where was Imam Hussein born and raised? What is the city? What is Madinatul Nabi? Medina. Which people are the companions of the Prophet? The Madanis. And after that, the Makkis. Kufa is still far. If the people of Kufa deserted him or killed him, then where were the people of Medina? If the Shias killed Imam Hussein, then why did none of you save him? You can ask the question back. Why did the companions not save Imam Hussein alayhi salam? You know what the idea is? Unfortunately, the propaganda in history is so strong, which is to dirty Kufa. To make Kufa so dirty, because Kufa had Shia in it. In other words, the attack is on the Shia, so that we can save Mecca and Medina. But if you knew the reality is bil'aks, the opposite, you'd be shocked. Yes, there were people that invited Imam Hussein and then deserted him. We don't deny that. Yes, there were people that went from Kufa and joined the ranks of the Shamiyin in Karbala. But where was Medina and Mecca? The same city in which the Prophet would eat and sleep and walk and talk. You with me? You are, okay. So now imagine this. Amirul Mu'mineen, when he goes to look at what Amirul Mu'mineen says about Kufa. And you'll be shocked some of the narrations you're about to hear now. Amirul Mu'mineen says, after God, I put my trust in the people of Kufa. This is huge. After God, I put my trust in the people of Kufa. Number one. Number two. The Imam says, when our wilayah was given to townships, the first town to accept the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib was Kufa. Because even on lands, there was revelation. There was revelation even on the honeybee. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى النَّحْلِ Quran. Number three, when Amirul Mu'mineen was going to fight in Jamal, he took about 700 people from Makkah and Medina. Makkah and Medina only 700. 12,000 men joined him from Kufa. The power of Ali was in Kufa. Siffin, 120,000 soldiers. The bulk of that army came from Kufa. No one was going to tell you that. Oh no, but the Kufis killed Imam Hussein. But the Kufis betrayed Imam Hussein. And that's so all of the Kufa is made dirty as a result of that. Why? So that we can bash the Shia in Kufa and save the companions in Makkah and Medina and the children of the Sahaba. You see the brainwashing? I'll give you another one. The staunchest of the Shia come from Kufa. Muslim ibn Awsaja, Kufi. Habib ibn Madahir, Kufi. Hani ibn Urwa, al-Shaheed, Kufa. He was beheaded for hiding Muslim ibn Aqil in his house. Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, Kufa. In fact, Muslim was in the house of Mukhtar. Then Mukhtar was arrested and he was moved to the house of Hani. There was staunch Shia in Kufa. And hence Kufa was always preferred by Al Muhammad. Amirul Mu'mineen shifts the caliphate from Medina to Kufa. Now imagine, he must have had some support for him to leave Hijaz and come to Iraq. And he comes and he builds a place in Kufa. He establishes his caliphate. He trains the people. So there were always people who had a soft heart towards Ahlul Bayt in Kufa. Now, the question is, were the majority of them Shia? No. Was every person who wrote a letter to Imam Hussein to tell him to come to Karbala, were they all Shia? No. Look at the letters. I'll give an example. What evidence do we have? You know, if you analyze the text in the Maqatil, the letters, some of the letters, they have been written in the Maqatil. If you analyze the text, the matn of these letters, you'll come to know, no, this cannot be written by a Shia. Give an example. One of the letters that came, and it's in the Maqtal, this one. One of the letters that was sent to the Holy Imam says what? Says, "O Hussein, laysa alayna imam." At the moment, we don't have an imam. But if you come, perhaps through Allah will guide us to the haqq. Now, no Shia talks like that to Imam Hussein. That we don't have an imam, But if you come, لَعَلَّ اللَّهُ, if you come, perhaps through you, Allah will guide us to that which is the haqq. Even though we know Hussein is the son of the one who was ma'al haqq. Aliyun ma'al haqqi wal haqqu ma'ali. The same haqq is with Hussein. There is no maybe when it comes to Imam Hussein. Is that we don't have an Imam, if you come then we'll take you on and then through you we may get somewhere. You know why? Because many of them did not want Yazid. So it was a political movement as well that was within it. They didn't want Yazid. They said, okay, Hussein is better. That's a better option. Let's go with Hussein. So if you look through some of these letters and what was written, there's no doubt in that this person was not a Shia. Because this is not the belief of the Shia. We don't have an Imam, come, help us, through you, we may get somewhere. The Shia is such that he has no doubt. He says, even if I am killed, burnt alive, and my ashes scattered in the air 1,000 times, ma taraktuka ya Hussein. When Imam Hussein says on the night of Ashura, go and leave. Many of them got up and says, no, even if we are killed, burnt, ashes thrown in the air, we'll never leave you, O Hussein. Never. And here you have people say, we may get somewhere with you. So this goes to show not every person, or not all of Kufa was a Shia. And now the question is, you know, when Ibn Ziyad entered Kufa, he got, battalions, 1,000 people go to Karbala. Anyone who stays there, you're going to prison or you get killed. Go to Karbala and fight Hussein. He would send a battalion of 1,000 each time. And the historians say that they would desert because they didn't want to fight Imam Hussein. 1,000 would leave Kufa, only about 300 would reach there. Because they didn't want to fight Imam Hussein. They deserted, they left. Then you send another 1,000, and only a small portion would make it to Karbala. So now the question is, who betrayed Imam Hussein? The Shia, the Kufans? Let's look at the killers of Imam Hussein. Yazid ibn Muawiyah, la'natullahi alayhi. The son of who? A Sahabi. Son of a companion. In fact, someone who they called Katibul Wahi. The one who wrote Revelation. They said he used to write the Revelation. Khalul Mu'mineen. He is the uncle of the believers. Why? Because his sister, Habiba, was married to the Prophet, was Ummul Mu'mineen. And so if she's Ummul Mu'mineen, then he is the uncle of the Mu'mineen. But the irony is that he is given that title, but Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is never given that title. Why? Because he was staunch in his support for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because he fought his sister. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Imam Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, yet he's not given that title. Umar ibn Sa'ad, the son of who? Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Sahabi, son of a companion. Strange. Muhammad ibn Ash'ath, nephew of the first caliph. So it's incorrect to say that Shia killed Imam Hussein. What's more correct is to say that the children of the companions surrounded and killed Imam Hussein in Karbala. And yet the idea is what? To save Makkah and Medina. You know what Imam Sajjad says? Don't take it from me, take it from Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Ma bi Makkah wal Medina 20 rajulun yuhibbuna ahl al-bayt. In all of Makkah and Medina, the Imam says there were not 20 who loved us Ahlul Bayt. Not 20. Kufa still had a lot more. And the letters, this is not the Shia, Bahlul, again, generations later from Kufa. The Shia is not that we may be guided through you. The Shia says we are guided through you. Not that we may reach somewhere. The Shia says we only reach salvation by the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ya alim. Ya alim. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali. Let me give an example. Bahlul in Kufa, originally Kufi. There's an interesting narration associated with him. Because the Imam said to him, look, act majnoon and do a sort of a taqiyya and you'll be saved. Now it says one day he enters the court of the Caliph. He finds the mimbar is empty, comes and sits on it. They find out, they drag him down and they beat him, the servants of the Caliph, until he begins to cry. Harun comes out and he says, what happened? He says, he sat on your throne without your permission. This man is crazy. And he was crying. And it's, because his life was saved as a result, because he acted majnoon. Harun says to him, why are you crying? He says, I cry for you. I sat for a second without the permission and I got this. You've been sitting for a lifetime on the mimbar of Rasulullah. This is what a Shia is, staunch in his support. And there was something, with him there's some strange narrations that, inshallah you can look at it in your own time. But even despite the fact that the Imam says, be majnoon, or he said jim and he took it as junoon, he says, despite that, in everything he did, he made sure that the Caliph of that time knew that haqq is with Al Muhammad. I'll give an example. Harun sent him food. They bring him food. Say, look, the Caliph has given you food. You should consider yourself lucky. He takes it outside and he throws it to the street dog. And they grab him and say, are you crazy? Do you not know this is the Caliph's food? He says, be quiet. If the dog hears it, he won't eat it either. He had no hesitation. This is Shia. That whatever state, wherever, there is no, you see, one of the greatest ni'mah, and I say this, one of the greatest ni'mat that we have in the ghaibah is the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt and the azadari of Sayyidul Shuhada. As long as you stick true to both of them, you will never deviate. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, the complete deen is the wilayah of Ahlul Bayt. And today, there's many people who would not come to the Husayniyah, will not come to the centers. But you'll find they come on the day of Ashura, or they come in the 10 days of Muharram. Now you might say, well, he doesn't come all year. But look at it from the other side. He doesn't come all year. But there's something in Hussein that brings him in. Allahu Akbar. I don't know what it is in the word Hussein. One of the Urafa in Iran was asked, and they came to him and they said, Sheikh, I'm tired of sinning. I want to change my life. Give me something. Give me a dua, wadhifa, ayah, surah, something. People love this stuff. Give me a tasbih. I want to read something. Life will change automatically, magically. He says, no. You don't need anything. He said, no, I need something. He says, one thing. 4 letters. He, Sin, Ye, Noon. That's all you need. If the name Hussein doesn't change you, then nothing will change you. There is a power in Sayyidul Shuhada. If that doesn't change, then nothing can change. My last point, inshallah, before I come to Masaib. Going back, there is plenty of praise of Kufa in the Rawayat. And this has been the propagation of the enemy over the years, which sometimes we fall into trap of as well. To make Kufa dirty. Kufa is where the killers of Hussein are. Kufa were the betrayers of Hussein are. In reality, anyone who heard the call of Hussein and did not support him betrayed Hussein. Whether you're in Iraq or in Hijaz or outside of Hijaz. Inna ibni hadha yuqtulu bi'ard al-Iraq, as the Prophet says. This is in Dalailun Nabuwa. So Sunni scholars have narrated this. He points to his son, Inna ibni hadha. This son of mine will be killed in Iraq. Anyone who sees him or hears him must go to his support. And the Aimma from that time started preparing and giving people that connection. Hussein will be killed, be ready. And this is what the Prophet says, his knowledge is my knowledge. whatever, and you know the Prophet says, when I went to Mi'raj, whatever I saw and heard, my brother Ali ibn Abi Talib saw and heard it as well. The only, in Kitab al-Khisal, Shaykh Saduq, he narrates this in there. He said, Rasulullah says, when I went to Mi'raj, whatever I saw was presented in front of Ali ibn Abi Talib's eyes. Whatever I heard was presented to the ears of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the same thing goes for Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. Let me give you this before I end. Uryan ibn Haytham. Ibn Haytham says, me and my father used to go to the desert. This desert was known as Nainawa. And later it became known as Karbala, after Imam Hussein alayhi salam was killed there. It became known as Karbala. And whenever we used to go there, we used to find this young man who used to sit there with his father. They used to have a tent, a khayma. They used to put that up. They used to sit there. One day we approached him. We used to come there once a year. We came, next year we came. He's still there. The year after we came, he's still there. So they said, we approached him, said, young man, what is it, what is it with you? Whenever we come here for our work, whenever we come here, you're sitting here. What is the issue? He says, we have heard that the grandson of the Prophet will be killed in this land. And so we sit here waiting for our Mawla, our master, to come, so that when he comes, we can join him. Fast forward some years, they say Karbala happened. Now this father and son says, let's go back and let's go see what happened with that young man. Let's see what happened. They go back, they saw Karbala had happened. There's bodies of the shuhada. And they say that we searched the bodies and we found that person's body was amongst the shuhada. So there were some people who joined Imam Hussein because of what they had heard from the Imams and the Prophet. And there were certain people who deserted him, like the majority of the companions that were alive and the children of the companion that were alive. And those Tawabin in Kufa who invited him, and later they repented. Then they did Tawab. The movement of Tawabin began. But yet there were people, the Khasul Khas, they joined Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Some were there before Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Some were Christians who within a few days became Shia and joined Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Zuhair, who was Uthmani, one meeting is all it takes with Imam. He was avoiding Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One meeting with Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam and Haqq becomes clear. He leaves it all behind and he says Haqq is with Hussein. My master is Hussein. The true religion is that of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Same thing with Wahab, who was a Christian. Not that he was a Christian, not that he was a Christian in Karbala. No. When he joined Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, he's on the deen of Hussein. When Zuhair joined Imam Hussein, he's on the deen of Hussein. Conversion is not something that takes 10 days. Conversion takes a change of heart. One meeting with Imam Hussein said, this is Haqq. This is the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, there were those lucky ones who made it to Karbala. Even in Ashur, Arba'in, when the tribe of Bani Asad come towards the haram of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they go to the maqam of Habib, because they are the Qabila of Habib. When they go towards that Qabila of Habib, when they go towards Habib, the Rais or the Sheikh of that tribe, he goes to the maqam of Habib and he says something, and he says, oh Habib, thank you for honoring our tribe. Because of what you did on the day of Ashura, we are honored until Qiyamah. This is what it meant to help Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. There were those who joined Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam from Medina. There were those who joined Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam on the way to Karbala. And there were those who waited for Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. And that's why the Imam says, the companions that I had, no my father Ali, no my grandfather Rasulullah has such companions. For I have the best of companions. I have the best of Sahaba. The companions that were with Imam Hussein were the best. The sons that were with Imam Hussein were the best. And the mothers that were with Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam were the best of mothers. Let me give you an example. You remember when Ibrahim alayhi salam was taking Ismail to sacrifice him? You know how he came to Hajra? Imagine a mother. If she found out that my son is going to be slaughtered, would she ever allow it? And Ibrahim comes to Hajra and he says, "Oh Hajra, get Ismail ready, I'm taking him out." She says, "Where are you taking him?" Now what does a father say? I'm taking your son to kill him, to slaughter him? No. And he cannot lie, for he's the Nabi of Allah. But he was the Khalil of Allah, he was the friend of God. So he says, I'm going to take him to meet with a friend. He's going to meet a friend, so he didn't lie. She says, okay. She sends Ismail. She gets him ready. But then there's something else that Ismail asks for now that really makes the heart of Hajra sink. You know what he says? He says, "Oh Hajra, give me a rope and a knife, a dagger." When she hears that, her heart sinks. She says, "Ibrahim, what's going on? Why do you want a knife and a rope?" He says, "No, maybe my guest has a sheep, has an animal, and we want to prepare some food, some meat. So we'll need that knife and the rope to tie the animal." She brings it, but there's something in her heart that she doesn't feel easy. To cut it short, he takes Ismail, he puts him under the knife, and the knife is on his neck. And there's a ransom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a sheep, you all know. And so the life of Ismail is saved. They return back home. Now listen to this, and this will break your heart. They return back home. A few days later, Hajra notices there's a line on the neck of Ismail where Ibrahim had put the knife and he'd pressed on it. She comes directly to Ibrahim. She says, "Ibrahim, what is that line on the neck of my son?" Now Ibrahim cannot hide it anymore. It's done. Whatever had to be done is done. And so he explains to her each and everything that happened. Now as a mother, when she heard that, the narration said that she fell sick. She fell so deathly ill that as a result of that, very soon she died. Just thinking, if only Allah had not sent that sheep, what would have happened to my son Ismail? Now take yourselves to Karbala and the mothers of Karbala. Go and ask the mother of Akbar and Asghar. Go and ask the mother of Qasim. Go and ask Zainab. Ajrukum ala Allah. There is a mother who just thinking the thought killed her. And yet you have mothers who saw the severed heads of their sons on the spears in Karbala. Ajrukum ala Allah. I do not know how those mothers had it within themselves to see their young sons fall from the backs of the horses. I do not know. And neither do I know how it is Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, how an old father has it within him to carry the body of his young Ali al-Akbar. But I do know that in that moment when Imam Hussein tried to lift the body of Akbar and he failed. And he tried to lift the body of Akbar and he failed. It is said that he turns towards Najaf and he calls his father Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he says, "Oh Ali, you lifted the door of Khaybar. But oh Ali, you did not lift the body of your young son. Here is Hussein." And another narration it says, he says, "Oh Ibrahim, you placed the knife on the neck of your son, but you did not slaughter him. But here I lift my slaughtered son. Ajrukum ala Allah, ajrukum ala Allah." बस अज़ादारो एक जुमला मैं ज़हमत तमाम करूं. आप रुबाब से पूछिए जनाब रुबाब के दिल पे क्या गुजरी होगी. आप जानते हैं ना, जब कोई जिंदा ना रहा था, मेरा मौला हुसैन तने तन्हा था. इमाम खैमे में आए, कहा, "ज़ैनब لاؤ میرا لال علی اصغر، میرا بے شیر و بے زبان علی اصغر، میرا شش ماہ علی اصغر۔ عجیب ہے، میرے مولا نے علی اصغر کو جناب رباب سے نہیں مانگا، جناب زینب سے مانگا ہے۔ کیوں؟ علماء کہتے ہیں کیوں جناب سید الشہداء نے ماں سے نہیں مانگا بلکہ پھوپھی سے مانگا ہے؟ کیونکہ کسی ماں میں اتنی طاقت نہیں ہوتی کہ اپنے بچے کو خود اپنے ہاتھوں سے موت کی طرف بھیجے۔ بس عزاداروں، میرے مولا امام حسین حجت تمام کر دی ہے کربلا میں۔ میرے مولا حسین نے کہا ہے علی اصغر میں کہتا ہوں تو نہیں دے رہے، لیکن اگر شاید تم کچھ کہہ دو۔ مقتل کی روایت ہے کہ علی اصغر نے اپنی زبان کو خشک ہونٹوں پر پھیرا۔ بس عزاداروں، ایک مرتبہ فوج بے حیا میں انقلاب آیا، ظالمین کی آنکھوں سے آنسو جاری ہو گئے۔ میرے مولا نے جب دیکھا کہ یہ نہیں دیں گے، اور عمر ابن سعد نے دیکھا کہ دشمنوں میں ایسے افراد ہیں جن کی آنکھوں میں آنسو ہے، آواز دی این ہرملا این ہرملا۔ آپ جانتے ہیں نا، میرے مولا نے پانی مانگا تھا، لیکن ظالموں نے کیا دیا حسین کو؟ ایسا تیر مارا جس تیر سے جانوروں کو گرایا جاتا تھا۔ بس عزاداروں، وہ تیر سے شعبہ چلا، یہاں سے ہرملا مارنا چاہتا تھا، ایک مرتبہ اس کے ہاتھ سے گرا، پھر ہرملا نے دوبارہ تیر کو کمان میں ڈالا، چلانا چاہتا تھا علی اصغر کی گردن کی طرف، پھر گرا۔ عمر سعد نے کہا تجھے کیا ہو گیا ہے؟ تو تو بہادر ہے، تو شجاع ہے۔ کہتا ہے میں کیا کروں، جب بھی تیر چلانا چاہتا ہوں میری آنکھوں کے سامنے ایک بی بی نظر آتی ہے جو مجھے کہتی ہے ہرملا میرے بچوں نے تیرا کیا بگاڑا ہے؟ اے ہرملا میرے علی اصغر نے کیا بگاڑا ہے؟ اے ہرملا تجھے میرے حسین پہ ترس نہیں آتا؟ بس عزاداروں، یہاں سے تیر چلا، روایت کہتی ہے کہ حسین کے ہاتھوں میں علی اصغر ایک مرتبہ پلٹ گئے۔ اب میرا مولا یہ لاشا کیسے لے کے جائے؟ 7 مرتبہ گیا انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون، پھر کہا ورضن بقضائہ و تسلیما لامرہ۔ کیوں میرا مولا شرمندہ تھا؟ میں نے رباب سے کہا تھا پانی پلانے لے کے جا رہا ہوں، لیکن ظالموں نے پانی تو نہ دیا، ایسا تیر مارا کہ اب علی اصغر کبھی دوبارہ بول نہ پائے گا، اب علی اصغر جنت کا پانی پیے گا۔ الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون والعاقبۃ للمتقین انا للہ وانا الیہ راجعون۔ ماتم حسین۔